If your Toolman model is not intact, if you don't know what it is, you will have serious difficulty writing the affirmative summary. So I want you to take a look at your Google Docs submission. See if I gave you any feedback. I should have. I should have graded it, and if you lost a point anywhere on that assignment, it was a 9-point assignment, I believe, if there's a single lost point, that means there's something broken with your model. And if there's something broken with your model, you will find it very difficult to proceed. So go back, double check. We have now fixed Haven's model. What's the first step of the paper? What are we going to talk about? The warrant. So, Sarah and Haven, I want to see, I don't know, 1 to 150 words on school's purpose. What's the purpose of school? Jeremy's laughing. Seriously, what's the purpose of school? Preparing people for the workplace. What else? Preparing you for college. Excellent. So preparing you for the next step in education. What else? Preparing you for the rest of your life. Some philosophers, by the way, some of the people who first believed that the United States should have public education said it was to make you an informed citizen so you could vote, so you could know what you were doing when you voted. So democracy, right? So there are a number of purposes for education. And of course, Mihaela and Adriana are going to say, so you can be a fully realized, rounded person. Good. Guess what? Every single one of those objectives requires education to work efficiently. If you're simply sitting here as a daycare, you can't reach any of them. So if you want to reach any of those goals, workplace preparation, college preparation, fully realized person, if you want any of those goals, it's got to work efficiently. If school is just a dumping ground for students to keep them off the streets and out of trouble, then you're not going to reach any of those goals. The only goal you'll reach, public safety, because you guys aren't on the streets being a menace. Oh, by the way, some people believe that that is the true purpose of education, is to make sure you're in here as opposed to out there. I think that's a little bit cynical.
I believe it too, Alma.
Well, in Alma, in your case, I believe it. But boom, there we go. All right, school's purpose. So everything I just said and rambled on about, and you see how I was getting kind of a little bit passionate, a little bit energetic about it? That's what should come into your speech, and that's where you should start with your paper. By saying public education in the United States seeks to achieve a few goals. First, it hopes to make teenagers ready for a workplace so they can contribute to society. Secondly, it hopes to make teenagers ready for college so that they can advance and make whatever choice they want for employment. Third, it hopes to make them informed citizens so that they can participate in the political process. And fourth, it hopes to make them fully rounded individuals so they're not superficial and simple. Unfortunately, high schools in the United States cannot reach any of these goals unless classrooms are working efficiently, unless teachers are teaching and students are learning. Do you see I just wrote the first 5 sentences of your paper? That's how the first 5 sentences of your paper would run. And that's easily 150 words. And every single one of those words, every single one of those sentences was necessary to understanding my warrant. So there you go. Now, transition. What are we talking about specifically? What's our specific issue of the day? Yeah, sleep and schedules, right? We're talking about sleep and schedules. So here's my transition. My transition moves educational efficiency. No, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Students cannot learn in classrooms unless they are mentally prepared for it. Mental preparation comes from a number of different areas, but most importantly, mental preparation arises from proper, adequate sleep. If students are not sleeping well enough, then they're not paying attention in class, and they can't possibly learn anything that would be of value to them. Schools must make sure that they run schedules that are sensitive to teenage sleep patterns. Therefore, resolution. The Board of Education should start school an hour later. That's my first paragraph. That's easily 200 words, if not 250.
So the first part is the introduction, like the school's purpose, correct?
Yeah, this is all pretty much one paragraph right there. If it gets long, split it, and you would split it right here. But if it's good enough, that'll work in one paragraph. Now, Sarah and Haven, I'll throw it over to you. What are you going to do next? What's the next paragraph going to start with? No, your claim. You've already got your claim. That's your resolution. You've got your warrant. What do you need now?
Evidence.
Evidence supporting what specifically? I understand the grounds, but what about the grounds? Remember, in my grounds, my first piece of evidence was to prove that smoking kills. My second piece of evidence was to prove that bans can work. Hold on. Efficiency? Well, I've got that, but remember how I'm maximizing educational efficiency is by ensuring proper sleep. So what I need to know about I want to know about teen sleep patterns. I want a paragraph which is just statistical, biological, psychological data about teens and their sleep patterns. Prove to me that teens need to sleep later and stay up later. Use authoritative evidence to do that. This is pure psych data. This is pure administration talk, talking about schedules and buses and schools and what it means in the building. And then paint me a pretty picture of the world with a later schedule and how students will feel better in schools and how they'll succeed more. Go ahead, Haven.
So in evidence from grounds, remember we said that you wrote a paragraph about like the teen sleep patterns.
Yes.
But like in that too, should we say anything about like changing scheduling, or should I say that for conclusion?
No, the schedule change where you are saying here's how it would work, we would start an hour later and so on, that comes in that next paragraph. Separate the two. Because, Haven, you can see how, remember, the basic idea of a paragraph is one topic, one paragraph. So one topic is teen sleep from a psychological perspective. The other topic is high school schedules from an administration perspective. So those are two different topics, two different paragraphs. And here's the paper. You can see how I ramble on, that if I had the evidence in front of me, if I had the research that Sarah and Haven have done, then I could probably write this paper in 45 minutes, an hour, at most. That's why the project is run to this point where you should have a fair amount of evidence such that if you see a structure like this, if Sarah and Haven have done their job, they should say, oh yeah, I know. We've got this piece of evidence that's going to work here, this piece of evidence that's going to work here, this piece of evidence that's going to work here. I can see how I can write that paragraph. And I need to shore up some of my schedule information. The rest of it's just throwing all that stuff together. Now, Haven, is this clear? Okay. But that makes sense for 2 people in the room. And I have 27 of you. So what other questions do you have? Dun, dun, dun. Amma.
I know a past year that I won't be able to get this in
Guarantee that you can. I can accept, I'll tell you what, if you say, I promise that I will not be able to, I won't accept that. If you promise me that you will have some difficulty doing it, I can accept that. Okay, then I like difficulty because difficulty requires us to grow and stretch as people, to overcome it, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you know what? I am both parent and teacher. You're not going to get away from any of that. Yeah, it makes us stronger. Whatever doesn't kill me. Look, Amma, hold on. Kelvin, I'll get to your question in a moment. My purpose in teaching the way that I do is to give you a structure such that you're not looking at the blank white void of a Microsoft Word file and thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to suck me in body, soul, and heart. Nah. Brains will stay somewhere. look at the structure, Amma, and then pick out something that seems easiest for you to write. What if one of the grounds paragraphs seems easy? What are you arguing again? You're arguing driver's education. So why don't you're going to need to give me a paragraph about driver's education costs, right? How much it costs? Fine, start there. Give me a paragraph about sure, why not? You don't have to start at the beginning of a paper. Last night I helped my daughter write a final essay for the DARE program over at Sylvan. We didn't start with the first paragraph. First paragraph was the last one we wrote. We wrote developing paragraphs first. In fact, the conclusion was written before the introduction. So don't think that you have got to start with the first one.
Yes.
What? No, not necessarily. So start with a paragraph that you feel comfortable with. Once you've got that on the page, and you develop another paragraph that you might feel comfortable with, the rest of the pieces should be a little bit easier. I'm not guaranteeing that it'll be a cakewalk, but it should be a bit easier to put together.
So, should my cost be the first thing?
Not first thing in the paper. I'm saying it's probably the easiest paragraph for you to write. First.
Just wants to summarize our claim, warrant, and grounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kelvin, what was your question?
Ours really doesn't use like statistics, it uses like people opinions.
Oh, that's fine. It doesn't have to use specific type of research data. Remind me of what you and Connor are arguing?
The BS.
The BCS issue? Actually, you will throw some stats in there, right? Do you have stats about teams that should have made it to the championship but did not?
I guess.
Because somebody's working in fifth period. I can't remember who's working in fifth period on the same topic. And they were arguing by assembling a list of teams that should have made it based on their stats but did not. And so that's how they're arguing that the BCS is unfair because it doesn't raise the best teams to the top. So there might be some statistical evidence. Kelvin, if it's mostly opinion from sportscasters, opinion from coaches, opinion from players, that's fine. Not a problem. Have a paragraph about opinions. Have a paragraph about how people in the business don't actually like it. Lots of quotations, lots of material in that paragraph. If you have 3 or 4 sources, that's a sizable paragraph because you're going to have a lot of quotation material in there. Aaron.
Like how many, I know it's 400 words, but how many like paragraphs?
I would anticipate that you have 1, 2, 3, well, 4 or 5 paragraphs, depending upon the length of this. So I'd say a 4 to 5 paragraph essay sounds reasonable. Haven.
You know how you were like showing us your model or whatever? And
Yeah.
you had things cited like in parentheses?
Yeah.
Does that count as a word count or no?
Yeah, because I just bulk word count all that. But the works cited entries, the citations in the paragraphs, the parenthetical citations must be correct also. You'll be graded for that. Jeremy.
So we're arguing to cut down like how harsh they are. with the
Yeah.
consequences.
Yeah.
Could I use like this evidence? I got like demerit slips.
Uh-huh. Personal evidence?
Yeah.
You can, however,
Not mine, it's like others. Like
yes, you can use firsthand research conducted in this building about demerits given in order to argue about discipline policy. You can, yes. So as we draw to a close, if you have questions, realize that I have scheduled all day tomorrow as work time on this. And I think what I will begin with tomorrow is an address of MLA citation, how you create those works cited entries. And then I do want to allow you and your partner or partners to have some time to work together. You're writing separate papers, but you should put your heads together on research and share material because you're all dealing with the same issue. And at that point, if you have further questions, let me know. It's due next week. Please don't leave this to the last second.
Is it like
I can't remember exactly what the day is, but it's due next week. The due date is on the website. So if you want to specifically know the due date, go to the website. Ask me that question tomorrow.
Remind me?
Maybe.